Red Wings get swept on the West Coast, but Nick Lidstrom is back with the organization.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty, right here, is also host at Locked On Tigers. I want to thank you guys for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. And Scotty, which started as a fantastic day, ended on a very, very sour note. The fantastic stuff being, one, we have crossed the 100 subscriber threshold on YouTube.
Ooh.
Shout out to literally all of you. We were obnoxious on Twitter until we accomplished it. Yes. We were tweeting from the Locked In account for like every follow we got, which we saw the Sharks podcast doing that the other day when they were crossing the 500 threshold. We're like, we got to do that too. We were like 88, 89. And finally we got that 100th subscriber. Now we're at 106. Like we keep chugging along. Like, guys,
what do we do?
We ball. Yeah. I mean, it is impressive. Our YouTube page launched in late December. I think the 21st was our first official episode. And less than a month later, we have crossed 100 subscribers. And it's thanks to the listeners like you guys. And I personally, Scotty probably doesn't want to thank you guys. He's very jaded at you guys for some reason. I'm just putting bad faith on you.
What is this nonsense?
No, but we both thank you guys so much for subscribing and listening, being very loyal. And then, of course, the other great news was Nick Lidstrom rejoined the organization as vice president of hockey operations. Not the team, although Steve Yzerman did say he was open to that. Which immediate top pair defenseman still, you think?
On this team?
I think so.
Yes. What are we talking about? Yeah, we're throwing out Danny the Kaiser. What are we talking about? Yes.
But yes, and then, of course, speaking of the Kaiser and the Red Wings ended up on a sour note, losing in overtime and losing their third straight and getting swept on the entire West Coast road trip to San Jose, 3-2 in overtime. And I have so many raw negative emotions because we were recording this right as it ended. Like, it's literally 1:30 at night right now. And I'm just so jaded because it was such an embarrassing end to that hockey game, an embarrassing hockey game total where they just got gobbled up in shots again. I mean, the only silver lining in that entire game, and I only saw the third period because I had my own hockey game to attend to.
How'd you do, though?
Hey, we won 4-2.
Drop the stat line. Drop it. Drop the stat line.
And your boy had a goal and was named player of the game by his teammates. Our player. So what we do for player of the game is we pass around a Dennis Chilowski bobblehead that I got for free at work because they had 200 left. So it's from the 17-18 season, and he was going to have a bobblehead night that year, but he got sent down to Grand Rapids before his bobblehead night happened. So they never got to do his bobblehead night. So they had just a bunch of these bobbleheads one day. I was going down to the compactor. They're just sitting there. They're finally going to throw out. And me and the authentic supervisor, Matt, we were like, well, they're just going to throw these in the compactor. Let's take a few. Like, we don't know what we're going to use them for. We'll find a purpose. But now we got Dennis Chilowski bobbleheads.
Hell yeah, baby. No, the Tigers did that once like a decade ago with Brandon Inge, and he got traded. And then 2 weeks later was his bobblehead night, and they just still ran it. They're like, screw it. We're not wasting these. And they just still gave them out, even though they had just gotten rid of them.
Yep. So for this week, I'm the proud owner of the Dennis Chilowski bobblehead because I was player of the game.
Where is it?
It's in my hockey bag. It's still in the box. We keep it in the box.
I was going to say, I was like, why is it not on display somewhere? Probably.
You know what? I should have grabbed it. I'll grab it tomorrow and I'll display it for us.
Yeah, should be.
But we keep it in the box, just kind of increase the longevity. Eventually the box will wear out, and then let's keep the bobblehead in there, and the bobblehead will let you break because, it's Dennis Chilowski. Who cares?
All right.
Remember that electric first half? We're not talking about Dennis Chilowski. We're going down a rabbit hole. The Detroit Red Wings lost 3-2 in overtime. Scotty, you saw the first two periods. Tell me how it looked.
Not great, Bob. I mean, it was certainly it could have been a lot better. Honestly, this whole game was just a load of. It was just a big. It was bologna sandwich, man. What a BS game, like all around. I mean, like every goal was like, oh, like is it not? Like, I mean, my goodness, what a frustrating, like gross, grimy, just honestly disgusting game of hockey. And we have only is probably a little dramatic, but mostly Alexander Nedeljkovic to thank for even getting a point out of it.
My birthday, bro.
Your birthday, bro. Damn right.
Yeah. No, and this is just the wins we're going to get are going to be thanks to Alex Nedeljkovic. The 1 point we got tonight was thanks to Alex Nedeljkovic. I mean, he faced 40 shots. The Red Wings only had 19 in this game. And from what I saw in the third period, and I imagine the third period was an extension of what the first two periods looked like in this game. It was the Red Wings would get the puck, attempt to break into the opponent's zone, lose possession crossing the blue line. They'd come back down. San Jose Sharks would establish possession, cycle the puck, get a few good shots off before the Red Wings finally got it down the ice for a change. Rinse and repeat. The Red Wings never were able to establish the puck in the offensive zone whatsoever. And the Sharks just dominated. And again, Alex Nedeljkovic is the sole reason why they won this hockey game. And it was just an embarrassment of a game all the way around. The broadcast was embarrassing. I mean, they called Lucas Raymond Mason Raymond, from what I hear.
Yes, I mean, they called him Mason Raymond. They're honestly, it was atrocious. It really was atrocious all around. Like everyone involved, it was so not good. And like, what we're now 0-4 on ESPN Plus. On top of that, like, let's just stop. How
about we just win a road game?
That would be super cool. Like, admittedly, that would be fun.
And I can't even. So at this point, like, so my biggest concern going out to the West Coast was obviously one on the road. They're horrible on the road, but the time change difference. It's a 3-hour time change. Going there is probably easier than coming back, I would imagine, especially after you adjust. But after that Thursday game got postponed, they had 3 straight days of off days to adjust to the time zone and get used to it. So you can't use that as an excuse. And you can't use the back-to-back games as an excuse now because they had a day off in between before playing San Jose. In all 3 games, obviously the LA Kings game was the worst of the bunch, but all 3 games, they just looked uninspired. And obviously missing Dylan Larkin is a huge piece. But Bertuzzi looked fine. He had a goal and an assist in this game, a nice tip in, just a tip.
He looked good.
Yeah, he looked good.
No, Bert looked all right.
From what I saw from Mort's side in the third period, he looked strong. Phil Pronik looks strong. The silver lining in that game, and this is, again, just from my sample size of the third. I didn't see the first 3.
The only thing I want to add is Mo missed a solid chunk of time. He got hit in the side of the head with a puck.
Oh, that's scary.
And it was a kind of a hold your breath moment. He went to the bench at first, kept holding his head. They had a towel on it. And then when play stopped, he skated off the bench into the locker room. Missed a pretty significant chunk there in the middle of the game, but then came back out. And so he was there for the start and in the end, but missed a decent chunk there in the middle. And it like everything that could have gone wrong, even in like quirky ways or in actual like real ways, pretty much did.
Well, I definitely want to talk about those moments because I feel like I'm going to get heat for my opinions on those things because it's not the emotional take. It's just the, like, looking at the facts take. But we'll get to that on the other side. But the last thing I want to say before I get to this Built Bar read is that of course, the episode after we talk about the power play, they again score a power play goal. Almost the same situation, though, which is weird. And this is where Phil Pronik's kind of starting to impress me. And I don't want to dive too deep into it and think, like, get ahead of myself because it was a 5-on-3 again. But it was almost the same exact situation. They couldn't get anything established. Mo Seider got an apple on it, passed the across to Phil Pronik, who skated behind him, got himself open in the high slot and fired a shot. And this is where, with Phil Pronik, I'm getting kind of like, okay, he needs to be the quarterback on the power play because he seems comfortable on the power play, generating good scoring opportunities, because he intentionally fired that all at Bertuzzi for the redirection from the same position he took a slap shot yesterday. This is where his value and his asset needs to be the strongest on the power play, because that's the type of defenseman it is. In the last 2 games, it's shown through. Again, 5-on-3, so I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Bright spots.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, and we're going to talk about that after I talk about Built Bar. There are moments in this game that looked good, but the problem is the moments aren't going to win you the game. It's the full, you need an entire game's worth of good, of the team playing well to win, and just individual moments aren't going to cut it.
Absolutely.
And now I'm finally going to talk about Built Bar after teasing it twice.
Built Bar.
It's the New Year's, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include a Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They make it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good you'll want to eat it, unlike those other protein bars that can be chalky, waxy, or taste like a chemical spill.
Chemical spill, man.
Wild, man. I don't know.
It's true,
sadly.
It's true.
You want to eat healthy, but it gets taxing and boring. By like week 3, you might be thinking, this is just not worth it. Where's the chocolate? Well, Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. They're only 130 calories with 4 grams of sugar, 4 carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Here's an idea for the new year. Go to all your secret treat stashes. That's a saying right there. Secret treat stashes. If I don't butcher that. At home, in the pantry, at the office, in the car, wherever, throw out all the sugary, calorie-filled treats and replace them with Built Bars. So whenever you're craving a snack or a treat, you got no excuses. You reach right for that Built Bar that's healthy and tastes incredible. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.
Built Bar.
Built Bar. All right, Scotty. We kind of complained. That's the word I'll use, not the word that's proper here. But we complained pretty good about the team's lack of fire in these 3 games. But there were some really weird moments, especially in the third period, that occurred that is kind of getting controversial on Red Wings Twitter. The first being Veal's goal, whether or not that was goaltender interference when he slid into Nedeljkovic, put the puck in the net, and of course, the game winner in overtime, whether or not there was goaltender interference, whether or not there was offside, whether or not the play should have been called dead. It was just a couple of really, really weird plays. And Red Wings Twitter is pretty heated over it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this game was just full of crap, man. I mean, what? And like overtime, just over and over, stuff just kept getting more and more ridiculous. And yeah, the one goal, Sider's behind him, he's poking at the stick, falls down, just crashes into Nedeljkovic, and the puck goes in net. Then I guess you should probably give your input on that play.
Yeah, it wasn't goaltender interference. The deciding factor is that Mo Sider, in an active defense, trying to, make a play, ended up inadvertently hauling him to the ground. And at that point, that is not Veal's fault. So it is not goaltender interference. He was, forced down to the ice and had no control over himself. And that's why it's a good goal. So I know it's people are upset and they wanted to blame it on bad reffing. They wanted to blame it on goaltender interference. That shouldn't have counted. But in the end, guys, that is a play that's going to count. And as much as I love Moritz Seider and he can do no wrong, and I don't think he necessarily did wrong in this situation. I think he was just trying to make a good defensive play, and he was desperate. The guy got around him.
I think that's the thing. Like Mo didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean?
Play.
He didn't he really didn't do anything wrong. Like it's not a pen like that. Like he didn't do anything wrong. He tried to make a play. And like a majority of the time, that's probably a situation where he comes out in on the positive end and he does make a play, or that does prevent a goal.
Well,
it was just kind of a perfect storm of nonsense, which really this whole game was.
a lot of the goaltender interference talk is just like the emotion of it. People like now are just raw emotion because they're upset the Wings lost. I think once they settle down and they rewatch, like, okay, yeah, that was a good goal because Mo brought it down. But also, like growing up, I was always taught, and of course, what I was taught means nothing because I play men's league and I'm sitting here recording a podcast instead of playing in the NHL.
Do you not have a Player of the Game award in your bag right now?
I do have a Dennis Chilowski bobblehead.
Let's give yourself some damn respect.
Yeah. But I was always taught if the player is going to get around you and there's no one behind you to, protect the goalie, bring him down to the ice. It's better to draw a penalty than to give them the scoring chance, is what I was taught. So Moritz Seider may have been doing the same exact thing. And
yeah. And again, made a decent play on the didn't screw up, like I said, it wasn't a penalty, like whatever, but I mean, sometimes mayhem happens, and that is exactly what happened tonight. And then after that, we go to overtime, and we have one of the most ridiculous,
embarrassing.
On the ice, I guess it was like 30 seconds, but it was like 7 minutes of just preposterousness. You have an octopus thrown on the ice, and then you lose. That in itself is already inherently embarrassing. But you have an octopus thrown on the ice. Players are like, okay, play's gotta stop here, and it just doesn't. They go down. Ned, who's having a fantastic game, has, as the puck go under the pad, I believe, turns around, slams the mid on top of the puck. Live, it looks like the stick is just whacked up against it. Now, that's not – his stick was very much under the glove, sure. But it just the live, the play itself, you have an octopus thrown, you got a stick slapping a glove, and then you turn around, and then they're reviewing the goal to see if the stick slap was legal, and it was, because, again, his stick was under the glove. Then it comes out after the game that they were reviewing whether the octopus was actually interfered with any of the play, because then the goal wouldn't have counted, and they determined that it wasn't. And then on top of that, they start reviewing an offsides.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
Right. That was the Jeff challenge. And we're like, what on earth? And we had all seen enough of Blashill at that point tonight, but you have to do that. I mean, it's that or you lose. So why not?
Yeah, there's no downside to challenging that.
Right. Yeah, they don't carry over. So just a ugly, just ridiculous overtime period to end this game.
Yeah, and then again, another situation where the Nedeljkovic, that was not goaltender interference because, like you said, all the things you explained, he never even got his glove really over the puck to begin with. He kind of missed.
Well, the stick was definitely comfortably under before his glove did go down for sure.
But I firmly believe that throwing that octopus on the ice is what led the Wings to losing that game because, like you said, neither team really was sure if the whistle, they saw the octopus on the ice and they kind of looked unsure. They were like, what's going on? So they kind of they first started breaking out half-assed, and the Wings were backing up because they were waiting for the whistle to blow because they were
absolutely
waiting for it.
It was
never
clear.
Happened.
Everybody's looking around what the hell? And then San Jose was we're just going to pass it and see what happens.
Yeah. And then apparently the rule is if like you said, if it doesn't interfere with the play, it's not blown dead. I did not know that. I figured if there's an object on the ice, you call it dead. But, I made a comment on Twitter about it. I was like, I don't want to be that guy, but shouldn't the play have been called dead? And one guy responded, he's like, while this was happening, I looked it up, and apparently the NHL rulebook, as long as the object does not interfere with play, the play can go on. And it, they deemed it did. And it was embarrassing because that's the symbol of the Detroit Red Wings at an away arena being thrown on the ice. And if you're a San Jose Sharks fan, you're just icing on the cake for this game. Icing on the cake.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just not cool.
Sharks fans definitely as we would too, having a ball with it. I mean, I don't know, man. This was just such an exhausting game.
An exhausting road trip.
For what a cherry on top for the end of this road trip. I mean, how ridiculous, man. And whatever. We'll take our point and go home and probably beat some team we shouldn't on the home stand because it's a home game, and then we'll go on the road and lose to Arizona, and it'll be a great time.
Well, two more shout outs, I guess, before we move on to the third segment and talk about Nick Lidstrom. Again, want to just reiterate, Alex Nedeljkovic, fantastic in this game.
Unbelievable.
He has continued.
The reason we got a point, for real.
Yeah, he has continued to just be like one of the huge bright spots in this team, and it can't be stated enough how good he was. Also, Nick Leddy got his first Red Wing goal.
It was a nice shot.
Be nice with it.
He was nice with it. It was a nice little shot, man.
Is ESPN just thinks every goal is an amazing goal? Like, even the video is titled marvelous goal by Nick Leddy, and it's like,
yeah, I know.
He just barely got across the blue line and fired through a screen on the defenseman in front of him and caught Aiden Hill off guard. But that's all it was. Like, it was just a shot on net from the blue line.
No, it was a beauty. Goal of the year candidate.
Jeff Blashill was probably seething though.
Oh yeah, not a goal opportunity, not a scoring opportunity.
Yeah, not a prime scoring chance.
Yeah, just a shot on net, not a prime scoring chance. He's pissed.
I'm a majority Blash defender, but the last couple days, especially with how flash the power play's been,
the power play looked like dog
crap
water. The one man advantage looked like dog water. 5-on-3. We got a little something out of that, I guess.
Well, it's a little easier when you're up 2 guys.
But if you're in the NHL and up 2 men, you probably should be scoring. Especially in the first period, we had a 5-on-4, and my goodness, the one in the first period might have been one of the worst power plays of the year, which is saying something. It was an absolute atrocity. It literally looked like we were playing on even strength. It just looked like normal hockey, and like we had a man up. It was not good.
That's the story of the season with that power play. I mean,
certainly is.
Their last 2 power play goals have been thanks to Philip Hronek, essentially. I mean, Bertuzzi got the goal tonight, but again, it's thanks to Philip Hronek on 5-on-3s when they should be dominating anyways. If they can't establish a good puck possession on 5-on-4 power plays, which is going to be the vast majority of their power plays, then they're in for some trouble. And I mean, I think some blame does go to Jeff Blashill in the end, because as much as we've defended him this season, he is the common denominator. We've gone through 3 power play coaches, and the power play is not transformed at all. It's just, we don't need to go down that line of thought again. Yeah. But it's been a continued issue with this hockey team.
Absolutely.
BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as they continue to march towards the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the number 1 spot for all the sports betting this 2022 season. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2022 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
BetOnline.
All right, Scotty, enough talking about the loss to the Sharks. Let us now move on to talking about the good news of the day. Nick Lidstrom returning to the Detroit Red Wings organization as the vice president to hockey operations. Now, Scotty, this is exciting, but what does it mean?
It means the boys are back.
That's
what it means. The boys are back in town. Not literally, I guess, but no, I mean, it's a fun day, and it
was.
There kind of seems to be a little bit of a gray area on exactly what he's gonna do. Most of the answers were just anything. Yeah. Whatever's asked of him or whatever he feels like doing. But I don't care, man. Liddy's back. I don't know. That's fine by me.
No, I completely agree on that stance. I think Nick Lidstrom's a brilliant hockey mind. I mean, he was obviously a brilliant hockey player. The perfect hire. The perfect human, 7 Norris trophies. You can go on and on about his playing career. And I think that he has a brilliant hockey mind in the front office standpoint as well. And now we're finally going to get our chance to prove it as Steve Yzerman continues to reconstruct his glory years in the front office, joining Draper and Cronwall. Sean Horkoff's there. Dan Cleary's there. I mean, just a bunch of guys who played in the NHL, now in the front office of the Detroit Red Wings. And, there is a little bit of nerves built in there about like the old boys club happening. But so far it's worked out great. Draper has been a great scout. Cronwall has been a great scout, player development type guy. Yuri Fisher's been a great player development and scout guy. So
Yzerman's been okay.
He's been just okay. So I think Nick Lidstrom's going to fit perfectly into that. But again, there's definitely a gray area about what he's going to be doing. Steve Yzerman was like, he's going to be doing a little bit of everything, helping with stuff in Sweden, helping with stuff here. Like I'll be asking him questions, getting his input. He'll be helping out with the team and the AHL team. And I'm like, and then Helene St. James follows up with, will he be living in Sweden still? And he goes, yeah, I'll still be living in Sweden. That's where it becomes like, okay. Oh, and Steve Yzerman also said he'll be making his own schedule. And then it's just like those things combine. You like I don't want to like downplay the hype of Nick Lidstrom returning to the organization. And I think Nick Lidstrom's going to find his niche and become really good at it. But it's also like, so he's essentially kind of a consultant, if anything. Like Steve Yzerman's going to come to him with questions, which is fine. But like vice president of hockey operations, like I am a little nervous about the whole old boys club happening because we've seen it fail before. Now I trust the Yzer plan, but like call me pessimistic. It's just when you're like, he's going to be doing a little bit of everything. It's just like, okay, so he's not going to be really doing anything.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I'm being overly negative. I know.
I just like, I don't see how this hurts. Like he's not being put in a position where he has to be like uber responsible, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like if he was president of ops, like maybe, but like he's a VP. He's basically there. He talked about in the presser about how he was gonna, work with some of the players that are playing in Sweden that are part of the Red Wings organization, and like he's down to help develop the defense, which like seems kind of like a weird thing to do over like Zoom, but like I don't care. Like it's Nick Lidstrom. I don't care. Like if anyone can do it, he can do it. Like I don't know. Like I hear you and I get your point, but like at the same time, I don't know how anything could happen in the future of this organization where we're gonna look back and be like, oh well, like this was the reason. Like I don't think this has any like it's either gonna be positive or it's gonna net nothing. Like this is I don't see this as a scenario where like anything bad could come of this.
I just don't want a Mark D'Antonio situation with Michigan State where he surrounds himself with his friends and yes man and just phones it in. And that's not going to happen. That's a worst case situation. I don't think Yzerman's doing that. I think he's looking for people who have great hockey minds, and I think he's done that so far. So I know I'm being overly negative in that, and I think him being in Sweden will definitely help with the player development of those Swedish prospects. I mean, like having Nick Lidstrom be around guys like Simon Edvinsson is going to be
unreal.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the future, one of the future pieces of the defensive core of the Red Wings. And now Nick Lidstrom's going to be a Red Wings front office member who's going to be able to be there, watch, observe, take notes, and even give advice to Simon Edvinsson. It's huge. Him being in Sweden is going to help because the Red Wings have so many Swedish prospects who are coming down the pipeline. It's just with how much is he going to be able to help here in America, where the question marks start getting raised. And like obviously he's a millionaire and can fly back whenever. Now he can use the Red Wings private jet if he wants to. I mean, so him coming to America and helping out is still on the table. It's just like I was hoping to get a little bit clearer of an answer what exactly he was going to be doing. I guess I'm not really satisfied with being told, oh, he'll be doing a little bit of everything, because that's just like, okay, but
sure,
define me a role. I guess I just want that defined, but I think they were still trying to figure out what that role will be.
That's what I was going to say.
I think
agree
they will
with
figure it out.
I think it's really just like not determined fully yet. And like you said, I think he will find his niche and his place, and he'll be fine. But I mean, there were a few questions where I mean, Liddy just straight up, he was like, yeah, no, like we haven't really discussed that yet. Yeah. like I mean, so yeah,
he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, right. So like I hear where you're coming from, but again, I have a hard time. Right, I have a hard time believing that this is gonna, like, I don't know, hinder anything.
Yeah, and I mean, overall, I am really excited. I just have those question marks, and of course, Steve Yzerman left the door open for him to come back as a player as well.
Yes, very, very classic Steve move on that one. That
Come
was,
out of retirement, pair him with
said team instead of organization, and Yzerman did not let him forget it.
No hesitation either. Just immediately.
Yeah, he was like, "We can make that team thing happen too, brother. we can make that happen, baby."
And then so Friedman asked a question too, where it was like asking Lidstrom about his future, like with other teams, and it's like, why? That was a really weird question to ask. Like, why would you immediately ask that when he's first of all he's joining the organization he spent his entire career with? So was he trying to imply like eventually Lidstrom would become a general manager himself?
Correct. That was 100% it. He was like, hey, like. He talked about Steve, and he was like, yeah, he initially came on to do like, kind of like that level of work and like kind of get a feel for how a front office worked, and then eventually left and became a GM, and then eventually came back and obviously took over. And so he basically, I think it was more of not like, do you have a plan, like a 6-year plan, and when are you going to leave? I think
Where
it was
do you
more
see
of,
yourself in 10 years?
Right. I don't think it was that. I think it was just like, are you getting back into hockey with the intention of like, hey, I want to learn so that I can become a general manager? Or are you just doing this because like, this kind of level of responsibility is like what you want forever? Yeah. I don't know. That's how I took it.
It was just a weird question to ask. And I get where he was coming from. He wanted to find out if Lidstrom had like greater aspirations, but like the general manager, his boss is literally sitting right there. And
right.
Like,
yeah.
He's not even day one of him on the job yet. And you're
right. He has not started
moving on.
Yeah.
And it's just like Yzerman, you could tell was like a little, because ended up fielding the question. He was a little bit annoyed by it. He was like,
yeah, Yzerman gets annoyed at questions sometimes.
And I love it. Yeah. And you know what? Also, and I don't want to get too off topic, but like they asked about like the rebuild. And one thing I really love and respect about Yzerman is like his transparency with the rebound. He's like, listen, there is no set timeline. When it's finished, it'll be finished. Like you can't set a timeline for a rebuild because you can't predict how fast it's going to take prospects to develop. And I'm like, I love that transparency. And he said it day one when he came on as general manager, like, we're going into a full rebuild. And he doesn't lie about it. Like he doesn't give you false expectations, false hope. And he's just like, listen, this is what's going to happen. It's going to take time. It might not be perfect. It might be hiccups, but you got to be patient because it's the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, he does this thing where like he's straightforward, but he doesn't let you know anything.
Yeah, he doesn't show his hand, but he runs
a tight ship over there, man. Let me tell you, like one of the tightest run ships in all of sports. Like nothing gets by or gets through. No info ever gets leaked about anything. That thing is sealed.
He's tight when it comes to like player news, but I think when it comes like to the big picture stuff, he's just like, listen, this is the direction we're heading.
Oh, for sure. He says a lot to you without telling you anything.
Yeah. We missed anything from this press conference we want to touch on?
No, not really. Oh, shout out to the listener who translated the Swedish question.
Yes.
That was really sweet. That was awesome.
Yeah, the YouTube closed captioning was not happening.
I forget their Twitter, but we retweeted them and stuff. So if you are wondering what the hell the last question was, it's you can check our Twitter.
Yeah, it's on the replies. It's been retweeted. Any final thoughts from you?
Brian Fisher, player of the game, and we ball.
We ball. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every day. Now make Locked On Bets your second listen, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. We'll be back with you guys with a new episode tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's your team. Every day.